finally getting my G series calipers mounted on this car. I'm getting ready to powder coat them right now. I just got done sandblasting them for about the last hour. This is Leprechaun Tears. Which, let's go compare it to my license plate. And it's a little lighter, but the other thing too is my license plate's covered in a little bit of oil mist right now. Hashtag BMW problems. So this is what happens when you get lazy and decide to just cook everything with the pistons in. And it's really because this, me personally, was my first time powder coating and I let the oven get too hot. If it wasn't for that, these would have been done already. So yeah, there's that. Alright, I'm finally messing with the calipers. I had to track down the caliper seal kit on eBay. It's a Brembo part number, but I was able to track one down for the caliper that popped out, or the piston that popped out. So I've got my new G11 calipers on. So you have to shim the calipers. There's lots of forum posts about it. So I found the correct shims you need online. Found the shims you need to space it this way a little bit. So these new upgraded pads, like M550 pads basically, you see how far these slide in. Well, these hit, and so let me show you how far they stick out. Sean's back there messing with some suspension stuff. So you can see this hits the wheel hub. And that's because on the G series and up, this bolt pattern goes back down to 5x114, and this car's 5x120, so it hits a little bit. So what I did is we machined, I say machined, the pad with a hole saw in the drill press and took enough material out. I'm sure there are already going to be people screaming online, but if you knew how brake pads were made, you'd realize that this is perfectly fine. So yeah, you can see how much material we had to cut out. So I didn't want to just grind away at it, and it takes forever to chop it on the bandsaw. So what I actually did is I used a hole saw bit and cut all this off on the drill press, and then I just snipped these little flat pieces on the bandsaw. So now that I have a working template, I'm going to transfer this over to my fancy EBC pads. But you can see this is actually further in than it needs to go. With the pins driven in to hold the pads in place, they sit about here. So that way I still have some contact patch further up. I'm going to go cut some more pads now, and I'll show you all video of that here in a sec. I already checked the wheel clearance. It clears with the new caliper. So I'm going to get this side assembled, and then I'm going to work on getting my brake line transferred over, and then we'll do the other side. So we got some EBC Yellowstuff Pads. I'm just going to line up. This is really hard to do behind the camera. But we're just going to line these up exactly where they need to go. We're going to scribe a line to designate how much material needs to be removed. We only have to do 2 of the 4. And just a note, this is my personal car. This is not a customer car. I don't know that we would ever sell this conversion to a customer, just because, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Like, I'm willing to do this on my personal vehicle because I'm a mechanic. And if something goes wrong, I know how to address it, especially on the road, where you do this for somebody that's unsuspecting and you don't know the full repercussions of a failure, you get somebody killed. So yeah, we're gonna roll with that and see what happens. Okay, here's to hoping we don't scrap a $300 set of EBC brake pads. we are. 2 modified brake pads. Let's take them over to the car, see how they look. Alright, I had to add one more shim to the caliper. So, despite what the information on the internet says, you need a thick washer and 1/2 the size of that, which I have a bunch of, thanks to Apex Engineered. And yeah, it fits right in. You can see kind of what the clearance is going to look like. With the pins engaged, it's going to be far enough away from the rotor hat. Ride perfectly. I didn't get a shot of this before it rained, but you can kind of see it's a little shinier. I bought Caleb a set of Powertrix coilovers for his Z31 in exchange for paint correction and ceramic coating. When he dropped it off at my house this weekend, this thing was like flawless. Well, flawless compared to what I'm used to. But it looked amazing. So, but also give you a look on the wheel fitment with the M550 calipers or G series calipers, which I'm pretty psyched about. It definitely stops a lot better. Now I got to do the rears. It's definitely worth the upgrade. I mean, I already had warp rotors when I bought the car, so that was already a problem I knew I was going to have to fix. But yeah, they look way better inside the wheel. Stops better, behaves better. So I'm very pleased with them so far. And they're very reactive. Like if you slam on the brakes, like it will put your teeth into the dash. If you're looking at doing the G series calipers on your F01, F02, F10, I think those 3 platforms are identical. You can basically follow what I just did. I'll put some links down in the description below for the particular pieces that you need in order to complete this.